Hello, Laoshi Lawrence McElroy here, and another in our pre-recorded video series. This is another, what I've been calling a one-off. So it's a one-time deal. Couple of things. One, best laid plans. I was planning on cutting a little time off of this particular video by simply telling you, hey, before you do these stretches that we're going to do, you should warm up. The reason that I was going to do that was I was going to shoot this video after my remote class this afternoon, but it didn't happen. Schedules changed, that sort of thing. So I was planning on already being warmed up, but now I have to. So I'll have to do a little bit of a warm up, which isn't a bad thing, really. And two, I'm doing something a little bit different. As you well know, these are being shot in my residence. And normally I close the door to the basement where my training area is, so I don't have any company. Well, I chose not to close it, so you may meet some of my cohabitors, and I'm sure they'll be of great help. But anyway, so what we're going to do today is my floor stretch favorites. I do a lot of stretching. I know Tai Chi Chuan is very good for your flexibility, but it's always important to expand your horizons. And in doing so, you can sort of turn up the volume on your flexibility. Now, warning, 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 Will Robinson. Some of these stretches are pretty intense. I'll do my best to give you some modifications, some other possibilities, that sort of thing. But really, you must always honor your range of motion. And remember what we say at Water Tiger on a constant basis is that, yes, you can use your muscles to help support a stretch, but not to instigate the stretch. In other words, I don't want to use my strength to get deeper into the stretch. I just want to feel my range of motion being challenged by any additional activation that I put into any part of my body. So again, just be careful with that. Be careful with your range of motion. There are probably some of these stretches, especially the 3 bonus at the end, that you may not be able to do. And that's okay. You know, maybe I should rephrase that and say, may not be able to do right now. So here's our list. We have 11. So there's a lot to get through here. So let's start with our little warm-up. So I'm going to set the timer. And we're going to start with a little march. So hands make the targets. You want to bring your knees to your hands. If you don't have this kind of range of motion for the height, then your hands go lower. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see, but I'm bringing the knees to the hands, not the hands to the knees. Almost there, 20 seconds. Now I'm going to open up. And I'm going to do a whole sequence of stuff. You may not be able or want to do all of this. And if you've already been doing some Tai Chi or something, it's probably unnecessary. You just don't want to stretch a cold muscle. You tweak your muscles that way. You get a pull, and that's not why we stretch. So there's 2 20-second intervals. I'm going to run in place. You can go slower. You can go more intense, whatever works for you. You can jump rope. You can mime a jump rope. Knees wide again. Looks kind of weird, but it changes where the warmth is being generated in the upper leg. Gets a little ballistic kind of groin stretch going on here. Almost at our 20 seconds. And turn sideways for this, so I'm going to run for 20 seconds with my knees down and my heels up. A little bit of a ballistic quad stretch. Breathe, you can shake out your arms a little bit. I'm going to do some little half jacks. If you want, you can do full range of motion jacks. It's okay. All right? Or all sorts of different versions there. And finish this with what I mentioned. little jump rope climb. Just want to get some blood flowing, some heat in the muscles. Most of these stretches are pretty much centered in the lower body. And let's sort of shake that out. So I got my breath going. I know that means that my heart's working. I know that means the muscles are a little bit better oxygenated. So there's our warm-up. I'm going to take off my shoes and my socks because I don't need them. You may want to use a yoga mat. I'll be using mine for at least the first couple of stretches. Most of these are yoga based. The reason I say yoga based, yes, they're from yoga. I've never had any formal training in yoga. And I tend to use yoga, actually I don't tend, I do use yoga as a physical stretch more than anything else. So our first two stretches after a little warm up dog and down dog. Upward facing dog and downward facing dog. So you can get into them. I really feel any way that you want to. You can start in this position. You can start in plank. You can do the full down or just sort of roll up. Now notice, put the tops of my feet down, down, and I'm pushing off the floor with my feet. Hands are underneath my shoulders. And I'm not collapsing into my chest and upper back. The head is up. Be here just for about 3 or 4 breaths once I shut up. Well, sort of time that way with my talking. Now, down dog is this. You want to straight as line as possible from your hands to your butt. Forgot to take off my sweatshirt here. I'm going to do that because I got a little too much heat going on here. Get back into my down dog. Driving the heels to the floor. You don't have to be on the floor. You don't want to move your feet closer, so you can put your feet on the floor. Now here's a little variation on this that I like to do. A couple variations, actually. One, do a little pedal with the feet. Bend one knee, straighten the other, driving the heel down to the earth. And back and forth. You do that a couple of times, 6 times or so, pairs. Now you can also double up, and now I'm getting a toe stretch in my right foot, so I'm driving the left heel down, and then do that same toe stretch then on the other side. I might want to separate my feet a little bit, go back to driving the heels, and just sway back and forth a little bit from side to side. Nice massage of the shoulders, the upper chest, the upper back, the lats, and it changes the way the stretch moves into the legs and the hamstrings. I'm going to drop my knees. So there are the first two, up dog and down dog. Now my knees are under my hips. My hands are under my ankle. My hands are under my shoulders. I'm not doing too well, am I? I run across this in so many different names, but camel is where I'm at now. Also heard this be called dog. So I'm working to arc my back to get my shoulders to my glutes. This is the inhale. And on the exhale, getting my shoulders to my knees, raise the back as much as possible. So I've heard this as cat, because, the arc back thing, but camel. This is the exhale. Inhale. And exhale. So we're not doing our basic Tai Chi, we're not doing Qigong. And normally, one more time in cow. By the way, I'm an Iowa boy, so I know those sway back, that sway back that the cows have as they're grazing in the field. And then exhale. I believe fish is next, but I think I have to check my list. And then come to neutral spine. So I think we're set for a switch. Yes. So, and the switch is setting down, leaning back, knees, elbows under shoulder. I want a little dorsiflex here. My toes are back instead of pointed out instead of plantar flex. And now press the chest up to the sky. Drop your head if you can. If you can't, then it's fine to keep the neck in alignment with the torso. And you might find, oh, it feels so good to get those glutes a little bit closer to the shoulders to really increase that arc in the back. It's sort of a low-tech version of wheel or a supported back bend on a stability ball. And release. Always breathing, always exploring that range of motion, always being careful. So I'm going to spend some time with the hamstrings. We're going to start with a single leg hamstring stretch, straight leg. So you may not be able to do this. Bring this foot into the thigh, flat of the foot against the thigh. You know, so what you might want to do, or you might not be able to do a floor stretch, right? So some of you may already be out of luck, and hopefully you're still watching just to see what else it is that I do. But you can do this in a chair, right? And then maybe you can get the foot in the second position. Now, I have a little issue with my knee and my hip on my right side, so the knee is relatively high here, but I want to straighten my back and go down wherever I can, right? So you may be here, you might be at your ankle, you might have the toes, you might have the heel. And if you're really supersonic flexible, you may need a yoga block on the other side of your foot. Now you can also have a couple of tools here. Use a band of some sort, right? If you can't really do anything, and then see, you know, if you can't get down too far is what I meant to say. Boom. Or you get a towel. Roll up the towel. Move the towel. Again, I'm not muscling. Boom. You want to turn up the volume a little bit on this seated stretch, single leg hamstring stretch. Set the ankle on the knee. And now notice as I go down, I'm not quite as low as I was before. Again, lifting up and out. And go down. I'm going to turn this into a little bit of a hip stretch, glute stretch, and press down on that knee a little bit. You really want to turn up the volume. Get the knee over the knee and go down. Other side, just for balance. Right, again, ideally, see, you can't even see the left knee. It's flat on the floor. We all have our issues. I'm working on it. So lifting up and out, folding down over, wherever you are is fine. Right? And again, I don't want to grab a hold and then go, and then pull myself into it. This is where we get into trouble. I've done that myself over the years. Keeping the spine as straight as possible, sort of reaching the top of the head down toward the toes, not collapsing the spine entirely toward the floor. Boom. And again, what it looks like on this side, so you can see, there's the towel. Maybe I'm here. Right. There's a band. Maybe I'm here. There's on the ankle and the knee. Or sort of a half happy cow. That's coming up. So. So you can see something, right? Here's my chair. We'll get this one out of the way and stretch down the leg. And you may be able to put the leg, and do that. And that way you're not on the floor. You can also do our next stretch, which is a wide angle stretch that has 3 components. A lot of people do it as a wide angle groin stretch. That's only one component in the way I address that stretch. So wide angle means, I'm going to change direction on you just for variety. All right, so I've got a lot of distance. I'll go to about here, right? For my feet, my toes are up. I don't want them to collapse in. I don't want them to collapse up. Now I have 3 stretches here. One, it's another way to do what we just did, the single leg, straight leg hamstring stretch, but not having to have that foot in here. So now I can turn my torso and do the same thing I was doing. Why don't I come this way first? It sort of makes more sense since that's where you guys are. And boom, here I am. Here I am. Breathing into it. Releasing, doing the other side. So this is really the hamstring focus part of this. It's a 3-part focus: hamstring, torso or lats with added hamstring, and then groin. So the torso is from this position, you start to turn. Maybe grab a hold of the foot, the other hand up over the top. Opening up. I want my shoulders ideally perpendicular with the earth. And release. Other side. Down. Turn. So here we are. Hi. Give me the other hand there. Boom. And one of the things the foot on the leg and the single leg straight leg hamstring stretch does, and me leaning into my leg here, is it keeps the knee pressed to the ground. And then the groin stretch, lifting up and out and folding down. Now you might want to do little sweeps from side to side, start to loosen things up, or just down. Again, I'm not doing this. I'm reaching my belly button toward the floor. I'm just hanging out, right? You walk the fingers slightly forward. Not a lot of muscle there to walk the fingers slightly forward, but be careful how far you go. Let me rest the elbows on the ground. Remember at Black Dragon School? Her name escapes me. Her feet were right out, perpendicular to her nose. Chest on the mat. I've had my chest on the mat before. My feet have never been directly out to my side. All right. So you have the wide angle, seated, hamstring, lat, and groin stretch. So that gets us to the glute stretch. Now, for some of us, you might have to do a modification, which is, setting the foot there, supporting yourself on the back, and then see if you can start raising the knee. That does is it puts pressure on that right glute, since my right foot is on my left knee, and just see how close you can get. So that's sort of the starter kit. You can do that in a chair. Right, again, you don't have to necessarily be on the floor. Set that foot down. Boom. Want a little extra? Just add a little bit of weight. Gravity may be enough, just resting your arm, but otherwise you might very gently press. But the formal glute stretch looks a little bit different. But again, you may need one of our tools. So you lay flat on your back. Again, ankle on knee. Now, if I don't have a great range of motion, and by great I mean distance, great, I don't mean great as meaning, oh, if you're just excellent, because your range of motion is your range of motion. No harm, no foul. I might have to do a little lasso here since I'm already down. Boom. And start to pull my left leg, and it's best if both feet are in dorsiflex. Again, dorsiflex toes up, plantar flex toes away. Boom. If I get a little bit closer, I can grab on the inner thigh. Boom. If I have some flexibility going for me, I can grab on the shin, start to pull in. But notice I'm not doing this. I'm not raising my lower back up off the ground. I'm keeping the lower back on the ground. And then you intensify this either by extending that elbow into the inside of that right knee, or letting go with the right hand and pressing out. So other side, boom, here. Again, that's sort of your cowboy version. Oh, boom. Well, since I can do this, I'll thread it this way. Otherwise, what you want to do is start here, boom, and get into it that way. Got that. And grab the thigh underneath. Grab the shin, reaching through so that I have my elbow to press out or let go. Boom. And also, I don't like the stretch. It doesn't do as much for me if I do this. And it creates more of a challenge in keeping my lower back on the ground. So there's the glute stretch. Lying torso twist. I love this stretch. But it too can be tough to do. I usually do the bent knee version. There's a straight leg version of this. Grab the foot. I usually do the bent knee because a couple of reasons. One, I get to start this way. And notice I'm pulling my right knee, and my left hand is at the knee. My right hand is lower. What that does as you pull in is it pulls your knee a little bit more toward the center line. If I had both hands here, it'd be more straight back. If I had the right hand here, it'd be more out. But since the left hand is at top, it comes a little bit more into the center line. That's the stretch that works for me. You may like right straight back. You may like a little bit to the right. I like coming in. And then I take my left hand, I put it on the outside of my right knee, drop my right hand perpendicular to my torso, and start to roll across. Dorsiflex again with the feet. And I want to get into a position that allows my knee to get as close to the floor as possible without this other shoulder coming up off the mat. Back's a little tense today, I guess. And by the way, I discovered this quite by accident one day. I was doing a yoga set, and I had used a yoga block for something, and it was setting right there. And I was reaching across, and the knee came into contact with the block, and I felt stuff relax, right? Because I'm no longer working the gravity of not fighting gravity, not fighting muscles. I can release. So, boom, and release. By the way, turn up the volume here. You can reach down the leg closer to the foot, but you want to be careful with that. And the other side, same thing. So I'm grabbing the left hand, or the left leg. I've got the right hand closer to the knee. Left hand lowered and bringing it into the center line instead of both hands at the knee, right straight back, or the left hand to the knee and pulling it out away from the body. Dorsiflex on the feet. Breathing. Then the right hand on the outside of the left knee. Left arm, boom, perpendicular to my body. That left shoulder stays down, and that'll get into that point where it comes up off the mat. great spinal stretch. So if you have spine issues, be careful with this. Talk to your doctor, your physician, your physical therapist. Shoulder wants to come up off the ground. Breathe. And release. So those are the first basic stretches in my favorites. The next three, frog, pigeon, and happy cow, are pretty darn tough. So you may or may not want to give them a shot. You may want to investigate as opposed to kind of this informational approach that I use in these. So frog, now different people do frog different ways. This is the way that works for me, right? My knees are on the same line. My feet, tops of my feet, are parallel to one another behind me, right? And I come down, spread out as far as I can. Great hip opener here. Now, as I get into it, my toes are actually out. So my toes are now in a dorsiflex and perpendicular to my calves. Open it up. Maybe if you're lucky, come down to your shoulders. Always open up a little bit more carefully, right? So my calves, my shins are parallel to one another. My feet are perpendicular to my calves. I'm going to go down here and just hang out for a little while. Always sort of pressing slightly back, coming forward is not going to do anything. Be careful how far back you go. That might be a little bit too intense. Oh, this feels really good. If I didn't already know that we're getting close to 30 minutes, I'd hang out here for a long time because this feels really good. Now, when you come out of it, come forward. Not back, not up, but forward. So, pigeon. I'm not really good at pigeon. I'm going to show it to you anyway. I think I'll do it facing you. Turn my mat this way. Boom, boom, boom. So I like to get in pigeon from down dog. So that's here. I like to raise the leg. Now what I'm seeking to do is getting the right foot when I swing it in as close to that left wrist as I can. Now my foot is on the top of the foot and toes right straight back. And for many of us, this might be it. And notice my knee is not in my center line. It's outside of my body. Now, if I was really good at this, my shin would be right straight across from my knee, but it's not. It's back at quite an angle. But regardless of that, I don't have to stay up. I can come down. I don't know if I have the floor in me today with my right foot, my right knee. I might be able to get a little bit more out of that. Oh boy. You want to turn up the volume wherever you are. If I'm up here, which is fine, right? I'm coming down a little bit, so I'm getting closer to the floor. If I'm at my elbows, because you can't see this, but if I move my back foot a little bit closer to my center line, wow. Breathe. And come up out of it. Shake that out. I'd show you double pigeon, but I've probably already embarrassed myself enough this afternoon filming this video. Left leg up. Swing it through. Now I'm working on getting my left ankle as close to that right wrist as possible. See that foot through my thighs there? That's what I'm talking about, moving it a little bit closer to my center line. Boom. So here's basic. Again, ideally, this foot would be about 6 inches farther front. Right here, coming down. The elbows lengthening, spreading out a little bit, moving back a little bit, putting a little bit more pressure on that left hip. I might be able to go to the floor on this side. Oh, but probably not for long. I'm going to shake that out. So, happy cow. Not great at happy cow, but given my age and some other issues, I still think I do okay. So notice, taking my left leg, my ankle is going to be outside of my glute. I'm not setting on that foot. My knee is forward, right to you. I'm going to take my right foot, put it on the left. Oops, maybe I won't do happy cow today. Although, put it on the left side. Now, ideally, it's a little hard to see because of all the blue here. This knee that's on the outside of my left knee would be right over my left knee, folding them together. Right? This puts weight into the situation. And that right hip is, I'm not sure if I should say that it's happy with me or it's screaming bloody murder right now. And again, you just hang out and breathe. I've seen people roll out of this backwards, forwards. I'm not really sure how people go forward coming out of this. I always have to come back. Switching. Now my right foot is outside my left glute, flat on the floor. My left knee is toward you. Bring my left leg around. And again, if I was better at this left knee, left knee, sorry, I'm in like pretzel here. So would be right over where the right knee is, but it's not. There, it's closer. And again, you may have to be up here going, oh my God, what is this? How can a cow be happy? I've never really, I have sort of looked into it, but not very intensely. I think it's happy cow because as you fold over in this position, it sort of forms a long face with a smile. I don't know. I got nothing. I just hang out here and breathe. And it's probably good. Right? Because we don't want this to be, 45 minutes, an hour long. So there you are. Those really are, if I were to choose all of my most favoritist ever floor stretches, those are them. Up dog, down dog, with the variations. I love the foot pedal. I love the toe stretch that you can get in that. Cow camel, can't tell you how often I use that. I use that if my spine's feeling a little off. I use it during a cool down, after an abdominal or a core workout. It is so, so good. The straight leg hamstring stretch, single leg, intensifiers or not, remember the tools, right? Towel, band of some sort, even an elastic training band can work, a belt for that matter. The wide angle, hamstring, torso, if you can do it, and glute stretch. If nothing else, then hamstring and groin stretch, not glute stretch. Where does that put us? Oh yeah, then right at the glute stretch. And then the lying torso twist, which again is a favorite. I love that for my spine. And then a little bit more intense. You have frog. Frog's probably the easiest of the three to begin with anyway. Pigeon and happy cow. So these stretches make me happy. Happy cow today wasn't too happy. The cow was kind of grumpy, I think. So there you go. Laoshi Lawrence McElroy and his favorite floor stretches. I hope you found this enjoyable. As always, if you have observations, questions, concerns, be sure to use the comments section below. And we'll see what's coming up next. I have an idea. It'll be a little bit more intellectual, like the video that we posted last week on the 5 keys to diligent study, 5 mental keys to diligent study. So look for that. There's some other physical stuff coming up in the queue because it looks like we're going to be alone together for a while. So wash your hands. If you go outside where there's peoples, wear a mask. Otherwise, stay at home and wait for the medical and scientific professionals to tell us when to take the next step. So, signing off. Thanks. Ta.